Donald Trump is throwing a big wrench into the wheels of global business and starting a trade war with China. But is it a war that he can win? Let's get to the bottom line.
China insinuating today that President Trump is lying.
The ongoing trade war between the U.S. and China, it could finally be cooling off. President Trump said yesterday negotiations are, quote, active, while the spokesperson for Beijing says that their door is wide open for talks.
Tensions between the world's two largest economies have increasingly shaped global trade and geopolitical balances. During his presidency, former U.S. President Donald Trump's aggressive trade policies toward China galvanized his supporters at home, while sparking intense debate internationally. Yet one must ask, did the so-called trade war truly unfold the way Washington had intended, or did Beijing skillfully sidestep the blows and emerge stronger? A striking new trend on Chinese social media suggests the latter. A hashtag titled Trump Cave and recently surged to the #2 spot on platforms like Weibo.
This has been trending on Weibo, and the trending hashtag is Trump caved in. It's #2 trending topic on Chinese social media,
capturing the mood of millions of users who now view Trump's tough rhetoric as hollow bluster. Many Chinese netizens mock the contrast between his bold declarations and the tangible outcomes, filling the gap with satire and biting criticism. In this environment, the U.S.-China relationship appears less like a simple economic dispute and more like a complex psychological chess match. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, and hit the like button. The trade war, often reduced to headlines about tariff hikes and market fluctuations, in reality extended into technology, military posturing, diplomacy, and even cultural rivalry. Throughout his campaign and presidency, Trump accused China of cheating the United States through intellectual property theft and unfair trade practices. Once in office, he unleashed a barrage of tariffs, imposed embargoes on companies like Huawei, and urged American firms to relocate production away from China, all under the banner of America First. Yet Beijing swiftly retaliated. China levied its
A new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America First. America First.
Own tariffs against U.S. goods, blacklisted American companies, and used its vast social media landscape to rally public opinion. Platforms like Weibo, WeChat, and Douyin, unlike restricted Western platforms, became battlegrounds for nationalist expression. Within this highly charged atmosphere, Trump's bold threats were increasingly met with derision. At first, he promised to destroy China. Users scoffed, but in the end, he sat down and signed a Phase 1 trade agreement with little real gain. Indeed, many Chinese commentators noted that American farmers and tech companies suffered disproportionately, while China's economic engine, though battered, continued to hum. Trump's tumultuous handling of the COVID-19 pandemic further eroded his image abroad, reinforcing the narrative that he was a leader who barked loudly but acted timidly when the stakes rose. The term coward, used widely across Chinese social media, evolved beyond simple mockery. It became a powerful expression of national pride. It symbolized resilience, that China, often cast as the underdog, had stood firm while America stumbled. In Weibo discussions, sayings like, "the loudest shouter is the weakest link," were repeated endlessly. During the pandemic, China's swift recovery, contrasted with the chaos in the U.S., only sharpened this perception. Moreover, incidents like Trump's failed attempt to ban TikTok, despite his fiery rhetoric, were seen as further proof that his threats were more bluster than substance. He said he would shut it down, but he couldn't. Users joked. Thus, Trump's cowardice became a shorthand for failed American attempts to contain China's rise. On a broader scale, Trump's trade war caused disruption for both economies. Although initial threats caused global market panic, the long-term effects were less one-sided than anticipated. American agricultural exports plummeted, raw material supplies tightened, and tech giants like Apple and Qualcomm faced increased uncertainty in the Chinese market. Even within the United States, business leaders voiced concern. Tariffs were hurting American profits. Eventually, the much-publicized Phase 1 trade deal was signed in early 2020, requiring China to purchase more U.S. goods. Yet many of these targets were missed, and Chinese social media celebrated what they saw as a hollow victory for Trump. Big words, small results was a prevailing sentiment. Trump's accusations that China steals technology and manipulates global markets resurrected Cold War-era rhetoric. Embargoes on Huawei and restrictions on 5G infrastructure painted the conflict not just as a trade war, but as a battle over national security and technological dominance. Chinese users viewed these moves as acts of desperation. If America could not compete, it would resort to bans and sanctions. In the Trump years, Chinese state media, often tightly controlled, allowed, and sometimes subtly encouraged this narrative to flourish. Official outlets proclaimed, "America attacks, but China stands firm," reinforcing nationalist pride. Social media, meanwhile, amplified these messages, often mixing humor with sharp political commentary. Memes, cartoons, and videos mocked Trump's setbacks, creating a vibrant ecosystem of ridicule. As the pandemic shifted global priorities, the trade war faded from the headlines, but not from memory. Trump's inflammatory language, referring to COVID-19 as a Chinese virus, only deepened hostility. Chinese users responded by branding him once more a coward, a leader who, unable to manage his domestic crisis, lashed out at others. The conclusion of Trump's presidency, marked by electoral defeat, unleashed another wave of mockery. The great trade warrior is gone. Users laugh, noting that China's economy continued to grow while Trump's promised collapse of Chinese dominance never materialized. Although President Joe Biden has brought more diplomatic tone to U.S. China relations, many Trump-era tariffs remain in place and core tensions persist. Chinese social media now regard the Trump era as a time of amateurish bluster, a memory preserved through memes, hashtags, and jokes. Behind all this, however, lies a serious psychological dynamic, a sense that America's once unshakable global authority is fading. Chinese netizens, and increasingly even Chinese officials, frame U.S. actions not as signs of strength, but fear. Some American analysts acknowledge that while Trump's intent to protect U.S. industries was understandable, his methods were chaotic and costly. Critics point out that the trade war burdened American consumers, angered farmers, and failed to achieve its broader goals. Chinese commentators naturally seize on these weaknesses, further fueling the coward narrative. In today's interconnected world, political perceptions spread rapidly across borders, shaped and reshaped by digital platforms. In this sense, the "Trump is a coward" theme is more than a local internet meme. It is a symbol of how perceptions of power and weakness are contested globally. Perhaps, in time, the focus will shift to new leaders, new conflicts, and new narratives. But for now, as long as tensions simmer between Washington and Beijing, and as long as Chinese nationalism finds fertile ground online, the mocking image of Trump as a defeated and fearful figure remains a vivid reminder of an unfinished rivalry. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the intersections of international politics and digital culture. Until next time, take care, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button.